All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the September 2022 Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for the Town of Carmel. Board members' names are in front of you on the dais. Town Code Enforcement Officer Mike Carnazza is with us, as well as Town Attorney Greg Fulchetti. The way we operate is I will ask you to come up. I'll swear you in. Anyone who's going to be speaking, state your name and address for the record. Then we'll go through your case. We'll let the board ask questions or make comments, and then I'll open it up to the public. Once we close a hearing, there's no further input from the public, so please bear that in mind. Will you all please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we're just waiting on one board member is running late. We're going to skip the first two items on the agenda, and we'll go to item number 3, which is Susan McHenry for a variation of section 156-15, seeking variance for permission to retain 2 sheds. The property is located at 24 Daisy Drive, Mahopac, New York, and it's tax map 86.39-1-36. Good evening.
Good evening.
Representing?
Yes, actually, longtime friend, so.
Name and address?
Yes, my name is Chris Munch. Address is 490 Union Valley Road.
Chris, raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you, sir. Just do me a favor also, speak into the microphone,
Sure.
because this is being recorded for minutes for the secretary. Thanks, Chris.
Okay, you're welcome. Short version is Sue's had a couple of sheds on her property for, I don't know, 15 years or so. They're too close to the property line. She needed to keep them at 10 foot. She has 4. She's seeking a variance of 6 foot. She did happen to speak to her neighbor right adjacent to them. He enclosed a letter. He enclosed some pictures. There's not really any place else. She's under a 1/4 acre. That's about it.
All right, how long have they been there?
15 years or more.
And not a prior neighbor, or no one else has complained
No,
about it?
no
No
one
other
else.
neighbors across the street?
No.
There's no other property that can be purchased to
No.
bring into conformance? If you had to relocate them to conform, what would the rough cost be?
Probably
found-
about $1,500.
Yeah,
If
you
we
don't have
slid them-
foundations, you have just gravel, right?
Just gravel.
But you'd have to restore all that, and so it'd be kind of expensive to
Correct.
do. All right, any questions from the board? John?
No, it looks like your neighbor, Mr. Higgins, likes it. That's his house in the back,
Correct.
No, to the right
To
side.
the right
to
side.
the right side.
Gives them some
Yeah.
privacy.
He likes it, I like it.
You were just gonna say something, and I don't know what you were gonna say.
If we had slid them to the left, which would put them in towards, more in the rear yard, it actually obstructs the egress to the, in and egress out of the driveway. And if you slide them forward, you'll actually put them in the front yard. The property's less than, I think, 8,000 square feet.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have nothing further, thank you. No questions, thank you.
Sylvia?
No questions, thank you.
No questions.
All right, any input from the public or questions on this application? I'll look for a motion to close the hearing.
Motion to close.
Second,
Second.
by Julie, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, we'll go back to the beginning of the agenda now that Mr. Balzano is with us.
Apologies.
It's okay. Sorry, Frank, let me go back to it. First application is Dynamite Properties Corp. for section 156-15, seeking an area and use variance to permit mixed use structure in a commercial zone. The property is located at 70 Glenida Avenue, Carmel, New York, and it's tax map 44.14-1-39. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. How are you?
I'm good. I don't need to swear you in. Your counsel, you're going to be speaking?
Yes. Would you like to swear in Mr. Rasek?
Yes, please. Yeah, state your name and address for the record.
Tom Rasek, 56 Papania Drive, Maybach.
Raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name is Frank J. Smith III from the Law Office of Schilling and Smith on behalf of the applicant Dynamite Properties, LLC. The property is located at 70 Glenida Avenue, Carmel. It is known as tax map number 44.14-1-39. The property currently consists of 2 office spaces and is located in the town's commercial zoning district. The relief sought this evening is a number of dimensional variances to clean up the property and also a use variance to permit mixed use in a commercial zone. In support of our application, we submitted 2 client affidavits, proposed floor plans, and a memorandum of law. The applicants purchased the property in 2019 in October. The property consists of 2 office spaces, 1 upstairs, 1 downstairs. The downstairs space is occupied by an accountant who has been there approximately 15 years. The downstairs space remains occupied because the monthly rental is far below market value. The upstairs space has been vacant and has been vacant since the time of purchase. As attested to in Amanda Rasick's affidavit, the upstairs space has been marketed since the time of purchase, and there have been no prospective occupants. Since there is no market for commercial space, we are seeking a variance to permit mixed use, commercial and residential in the town's commercial zoning district. I think it's important to note that the town code does allow for existing mixed-use structures at the time the code was adopted, and in this case, the proposed mixed use is not inconsistent with the neighborhood nor the town code. As previously stated, we are seeking a number of dimensional variances. This structure, much like every other structure on Glenida Avenue, is situated on a substandard lot and has been in existence for decades. The building department would require these variances whether or not we had proposed the change in use. In addition, the building has been in existence since at least 1955. And while we contend for mixed-use designation by variance, we are seeking the dimensional variances to bring the property into conformity with the town code. As the board is aware, when seeking a use variance, there are 4 criteria that need to be analyzed. First, and most importantly, the board must consider whether, if the variance is granted, if it would change the essential character of the neighborhood. In this case, it would not. This area of town is home to a number of mixed-use buildings, many of which have been there for decades. Second, the board must consider whether the applicant can realize a reasonable return and the applicant's economic hardship. The property was purchased in 2019 for a sum of $220,000. Per Mr. Rasick's affidavit submitted with our application, the building's monthly operating expenses are approximately $1,640. The sole tenant's monthly rent is $1,500. The building is currently operating at a loss. In addition, there are a number of capital improvements that the building requires, which will cost a substantial sum. After my presentation, Mr. Rasick is available for any questions related to those improvements that are necessary for the property. In addition to operating at a loss, the prospect of finding a commercial tenant for the second floor space is highly unlikely, particularly after being marketed for 3 years with no interest. As I'm sure the board is aware, there are also a number of other commercial spaces along Glenida Avenue that are vacant and have been vacant for a long time. The proposal of mixed use is an attempt to not render the second floor useless. Third, the board must consider uniqueness. In this case, the proposal is unique because only permission for a mixed use would render the property financially viable. The situation is unique to the applicant and not to the general neighborhood surrounding it. In addition, the town's comprehensive plan has targeted the need for mixed-use buildings in hamlet areas such as the hamlet of Carmel. Lastly, the board must consider whether the hardship was self-created. In this case, it was not. The applicant purchased the property fully intending to rent both commercial spaces. The existing tenant has remained, and as stated, the second floor has been vacant since the time of purchase. In conclusion, I believe that the applicant has met the 4 criteria of the use variance analysis, and I would respectfully request that the board grant the relief requested this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, why don't you explain what kind of improvements the property needs?
So the property needs a new heating system, needs a mixed amount of plumbing system repairs, the front concrete step and the landscaping, the stucco and siding needs to be repaired and painted, and the rear shed is in rough shape. It needs to be
And these are
removed.
items that you didn't, or you weren't aware of when you purchased property?
They've evolved as we've
Okay.
owned.
What kind of tenants have you targeted for the second floor? Like what kind of businesses?
My wife was not unable to be here today, but I know she was reaching out to different other architects, small lawyers, small accountants, somebody that wasn't obviously
Small
gonna.
professional offices. basically.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
As we know,
Um,
yeah.
You know, we are aware of the change that's coming with the master plan, that it was a big, you know, implementation that, you know, that they're looking to do, especially for zones like this, so that's to be considered. I just reminded the board members of that. I actually was part of that consultation, so I'll open it up to the board. Julie, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Silvio?
None, no questions. No questions, thank you.
Rose?
Of course, I have a few questions.
Okay.
It's not a
Okay.
Thursday.
What happened to the tenants that were on the second floor before you purchased it? Or what kind of business was it, and why did they not?
So one offhand was an appraisal. He left. Not 100% sure why, but he left. And there was actually two up there sharing an office, and the other one left too, but I'm
Okay. This
not
was
100%
before.
sure it was.
This was
It was
before
like
you-
all within the closing time of me.
Okay. Have there been any changes to the structure at all?
Not since I've,
Not since you've had it?
Been there.
Okay. Let's see. Do you have any proof of the marketing that was done to try and rent it?
my wife could probably get proof, but my wife is a local real estate
I
agent.
understand
And along with
Yeah,
the
that was
commercial
in the
group that she
affidavit.
worked
Right,
with.
there's an affidavit, but is there like a multiple listing for commercial properties? I
So
assume?
probably, my wife wasn't able to be here, so I can't,
Okay.
but we could provide something, I'm sure, yeah.
Okay. Question for Mike. What is the parking needed for a commercial spot and a residential? What would it be if it was both commercial? And what would it be if it was mixed use?
Does it change the equation?
It does. It's one for every 200 square feet for commercial. So how many square feet does he have?
One for every 200 square feet. How big is the building?
Parking, 9 spaces are required, so he's got
9
1,800
spaces.
square feet. Right.
Yeah, I believe we lower it going residential.
If you, right, that's
Yeah.
less.
What is
Two
it?
parking
Yeah.
spots per unit residential.
So,
regardless of square footage.
so
It's
it would
not a
be
square footage thing.
2 for the residential, and
make
then
sure
the
of that.
bottom would be commercial, right?
Right,
So
but you're
that would
putting
be,
square
Let's
footage.
just make sure with the two. I want to.
so you need less spots
We
for
would
a
need
residential.
one less spot, I think was the intent,
It
correct?
may even be two.
So 9 spots are required. There are 0 spaces provided for.
Right.
We do have a commitment from the property owner of the plaza, who has a large parking space behind the structure. It has 90 spots. We have 2 dedicated spots that we're currently renting. The only point that I would make as it relates to parking is that you can think of a furniture store, an Italian restaurant, a music store, and I'm curious how they provide for those parking spaces as well.
They get variances.
You said they have a commitment. Does that mean they have an easement or just a commitment?
No, and it was submitted with our application.
just a lease.
It was a written agreement between
It's an
us.
It's on
and-
the affidavit.
It's on the affidavit.
I'm sorry, affidavit.
I just want to make sure they knew. that it
Yeah.
No, I saw it when I went through the packet.
Yeah, and he has rules written in there. Wenco Properties that you agreed to.
It is 2 per dwelling unit.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 per dwelling unit, so upstairs you need 2 for the 1 unit, and then you have commercial down below, so that would be,
It's half now because you've lost the top floor.
right, so that would be 4.5. 4 and 2 is 6, so you only need 6 versus if it was commercial, you'd need 9.
Oh,
So you need less,
4.
You need 9 right now.
because
so
it's
you
too
still need
commercial. But if it's mixed use, if you have residential on top and downstairs, it would be 7.
But
So
you're
it's
having 2
less.
apartments up top, is that what you're proposing?
We're proposing 2 units.
So then it goes
upstairs.
back to 9 anyway.
It's
Well, it goes
not,
to 8.
So that it's 9 no matter what.
It goes to
Or
8.
It goes to 8, one down, right, because we're not, you can't half a parking space.
Right,
time out.
right.
So,
Your application says you need 9.
It's 8.5.
How many you need?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's a good question. I've been under the impression that it's 9 required and 0
That's what-
provided for.
that's what I've been-
That's what I'm here to present tonight. 9 spaces. We do have 2 spaces that we are renting in the back. So I guess that would be that we need a variance for 7.
But you don't own the 2 that you're renting.
We don't own the 2, but we have the right to it. So
Correct.
as a
But-
contract
but the
vending.
But the code says that
Understood.
the board can grant a variance if you have an agreement, and it goes on to say that, so.
Okay.
Okay, that's it, that's all my questions.
Yeah, that was what I was gonna double back.
9-space variance.
Either way, it's a 9-space variance. It's just easier that way. Okay.
Yeah, John, my only question was on the parking too, so you've answered it. That property owner to the side of you, Wenco there, would he be able to lease more if you needed spaces? Is that something you would entertain with him?
I would definitely entertain that. I believe he's allowing us to use it. He doesn't want to actually stipulate a number on it. He's agreeing that we can use it, but he's uncomfortable for himself to put.
Yeah, if he
too
gives an
many numbers
easement,
on it.
then decides to do an expansion, he wouldn't have those parking spots for
Right.
his expansion, so he doesn't want to give them out, but he doesn't mind sharing, letting people.
You no further questions,
I'll
thank you.
leave it at that.
Thank you.
All right, at this point, is there any input or questions from the public on this application? I'll look for a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're staying up for the next one?
Let me swap out files. This one will be quick.
Swap them out.
Swap away.
All right, this is an application of Raymond Medea seeking an interpretation that the structure is legally pre-existing, non-conforming, two-family, or in the alternative, a use variance to permit a two-family residence in a single-family zone. Property is located at 6 Mary Avenue, Mahopac, New York, and is tax map 75.12-1-40. And what's allowed is a one-family, what's being provided is a two-family, and the variance required interpretation that the structure is pre-existing, two-family, or in the alternative, a use variance to permit a two-family use.
Hello again, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Frank J. Smith III, on behalf of the applicant, Raymond Medea. The property is at 6 Mary Avenue, Mahopac, New York. It is an existing two-family dwelling. The relief sought is an interpretation that the premises was a legally predating two-family, or in the alternative, a use variance. As you are aware, last month, Mr. Schilling from my office presented this matter. At the time, and the information that we had, we believed that the property was built as a two-family prior to the existence of the Town of Carmel Code. This was supported by the assessment card, testimony from neighbors going back to the 1960s, and our architect's opinion, since the structure contained no internal stairs connecting both floors. Most importantly, we spoke with Christine Powers. She was the granddaughter of the gentleman who had built the residence in the 1940s. She was adamant that the property was constructed in 1947 as a two-family. At last month's meeting, Mr. Schilling was presented with documents from the building department, which we did not have in our possession prior to our presentation, hence the adjournment to this month. We've spent the past month investigating this further. We spoke with Mrs. Powers again, and she reached out to her mother. Her mother is in her 80s. Her mother attests that the structure was built as a single-family residence in 1947, and in the early 1960s, the second level was added. At the time the second level was added, it was never connected to the bottom. It was always a two-family, but that gets us outside of predating the code. The second level was added to accommodate children and grandchildren, and our understanding is that they did not want a staircase in between the two, and that they intended for separate entrances.
Brilliant. I didn't know you could do that.
It's a creative idea. The property was never used as a single-family dwelling from the time that addition was put on in the early 1960s. There was no internal staircase. There was always separate entrances. Since the 60s, the property has been continuously used as a two-family, never a single-family. We have support from our neighbors. There would be no change to the character of the neighborhood, but as a result of this new information, we're uncomfortable proceeding under an interpretation, and we will be proceeding under a use variance. I would respectfully request an adjournment to next month's meeting so that we can submit to the board evidence in support of our use variance
I
order.
was just about to ask, do you have affidavits and whatnot to support
Yeah,
it?
we spent the entire last month being in touch with the neighbors who had previously attested to it always being a two-family, and then information from,
But that's a long time ago. That's, you could, yeah.
it's one of the more difficult things we do, trying to date back to the code.
You gotta
So,
get Columbo on the case.
Just one more thing, man.
One more question.
One more question, man.
All right, that said, I think we'll look for motion.
Motion to hold over.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
thank you very much. Have a nice night, everybody.
You too.
Take care.
Oh, let me get my stuff straight here.
Yeah, I'm caught up.
Okay, we did Henry. Perna.
Henry. Take care, Frank. All right, next application is number 4, Carl and Joanne Perna, for a variation of section 156-15, seeking a variance for permission to retain an already existing garage. Property is located at 18 Steiner Drive, Mahopac, New York, tax map 64.5-1-58. On the garage side, it allows 15 feet. There's only 4 feet provided, looking for a variance of 11 feet. And on the rear for the garage, what's provided, it's 15-foot setback is allowed, and what exists is 10.2, so you're looking for a variance of 4.8. Okay, good evening.
Yes, how you doing? My name is Carl Perna.
Just turn the microphone down to your mouth, there you go.
My name is Carl Perna with 18 Steiner Drive, Mahopac, New York. I'm here on behalf of my parents.
Okay. Raise your right hand.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yep, yes.
Okay, thank you. Proceed.
Okay. So the garage has been up for approximately like 15 years now. At the time, there used to be a shed there, and then my dad ended up expanding it, making it the footprint what it is today.
So did he built it himself, or,
Yeah.
so he didn't realize he needed a permit?
No, not at the time. He was unaware of it.
Is there any property that your parents can purchase to bring it into conformance?
No.
You're all landlocked there, right?
No, there's neighbors.
I was up there just earlier, and it's pretty tree-lined, and so
Yeah.
your neighbors, anybody complain about it?
No, not at
Obviously,
all.
they would have complained a while back.
Yeah, yeah,
Why is this
no.
coming up now? Was found-
We got a notice in the mail.
Okay,
About it,
so Dennis is doing his job.
yeah.
Any neighbors in support that you're aware of?
No, I didn't get anything in writing from any of the neighbors.
Okay.
But no one contested. I mean, like, told me over the years that there was an issue about it,
Okay.
so.
If you had to relocate it to conform, what would it cost?
It's on a concrete slab. It would, 15, 20,000.
Wow.
It's a whole, you know,
Yeah, you'd have to lift everything
Yeah,
up and
yeah.
reset it.
so.
Is there electric in there?
No. It's
No-
just-
No
just-
running water, right?
No.
Okay. All right, John, any questions?
What's the size of that garage now?
I
Or
think
shed?
22, wait, the garage, yeah, 22 by 22, it's about that. I don't know off the top of my head, but,
It has a garage door on it?
yeah, it's
Okay.
it's one garage
How
door.
high is it inside?
Square.
I'm gonna
The
say
ramp.
about 9-ish feet.
No further questions.
I didn't see a sign up. Did you post a sign?
Yeah, we did.
You
It must
did?
have, if anything, it must have fell down.
Okay.
but
No
it
other
was up.
questions?
Yeah.
You saw?
No questions, thank you.
No questions, thank you.
No questions.
All right, does anybody in the public have any questions or comments on this application? I'll look for a motion to close the hearing.
Motion to close.
Do I have a
Second.
second? Julie, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, application number 5, Liberty Utilities New York Water Corp., for variation of section 156-15, seeking a variance for permission to construct a new potable water treatment facility in order to meet current drinking water standards. Property is located at 23 General MacArthur Drive, Carmel, New York, and is known as tax map 54.20-1-42. So the code allows 120,000 square feet. What's provided is 91,945, And parking spaces are allowed 4, there's 0 provided, and a variance is being requested of 4 parking spaces. There's only 1 or 2 cars on site for maintenance. Okay, good evening.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the board. My name is Jessica Alves. I'm with H-Tom Architects and Engineers, representing our client Liberty Utilities for 23 General MacArthur Drive.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Thank you.
So we have been referred to your board by the planning board for 2 variances, which you've just listed, one being parking and the other being lot area. To give you a little bit of background, the purpose of this project is to install a new granulated activated carbon treatment system and building to enclose it for the removal of perfluorinated compounds from the 3 wells that are on site.
We're actually familiar with the process. Suez
Okay.
has been through
Suez
us
is just
like
here with that.
Okay.
2 or 3 times with the same
So I
reasoning.
won't elaborate, but the site is an existing water treatment facility. In regards to lot size, we are not looking to modify or change the lot sizes, the lot lines at this time. And in regards to parking, we are not proposing any new impervious parking. There is as you can see here, this is our client's property, and there is a very long private driveway, I guess we'll call it, on the property. So typically during routine maintenance, as was mentioned, 1 or 2 cars will be on site. In that case, they would either park right along the existing fence line here where it's dashed, or they could park in the existing driveway. In the event that there is an emergency or some kind of major event going on, we can have 4 cars on site, which in that case, again, they would park along the
Roadway
private,
going up.
yeah, we'll call it a roadway, the private roadway, or right up against the existing fence line that's there. The reason for not providing parking spaces would still limit the amount of impervious area we created as part of this project.
Which makes sense for the environment. The only concern I had was that there's 1 neighbor on that side of where the new proposed building's going to be, but you have a pretty intensive screening plan.
Yes.
So I feel comfortable with that. Is there any reason why you're not using the same footprint? Does that have to stay in activity while you build the new one?
Yes,
Or you can't expand on the
this,
existing one?
existing treatment building over here, as well as the tank up top, everything has to stay functional during the process. There's no other water source for this community. So they'd be constructing this building. There will, need to be a short tide shutdown, which we've gotten health department approval for, just to connect this into the system.
How many homes roughly does it service?
I believe this is 80 homes.
Wow, that's a good number.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's no other logical spot to put it? That seems very flat. It was up there the other night. Seems relatively flat.
It's you could say relatively flat, considering the entire site is very sloped. So it's a relatively flat area, and as far as the mechanics go for piping, it logistically made sense to have it in that location.
All right, and then is the generator getting relocated, or is that going to stay?
That is staying where it is.
And you guys are going to raise the existing building?
No, the existing, anything on this side of the property is not being modified other than some site piping. The existing building is staying as is, and so is the generator and everything on that side.
Okay. All right, let's start down here. Julie, any questions?
No questions.
Sil,
No questions.
Bill,
No questions, thank you.
Rose?
It's very wooded. How much are you going to be removing? How much?
I believe we're removing 9 trees, and we're proposing 19, to plant 19
Okay.
trees, yeah.
So it's a net 10 meeting.
And we have gone before the Environmental Conservation Board, and there were no,
Comments or concerns?
comments or impacts to the environment, so.
It's a good
And the
trade up.
planting may go up once they go to planning board as well.
Oh, okay.
If they ask for more buffers, you would plant more trees, depending on what it is.
And what maturity level are the trees? Like what height? I don't recall
At
offhand.
purchase, I believe they're 6 or 7 feet, and once they're matured, they could be between 30 to 50 feet tall.
Okay.
probably be 30. There's still going to be quite a few trees left there, so they're going to be fighting for space.
Okay, that's good. All right, John, anything?
Just one question, Jessica, when they were doing the testing of the groundwater, what was the concentration of PFAS? Do you know that, what it was in parts per trillion of the fluoro?
For PFOA, I don't know the most recent results, but the wells that were over 10 parts per million have been taken out of service. So currently, of the 3 wells, there is only 1 running, because that is the only one that's under the MCL. And they do have an on-site tanker truck to blend the water, because that 1 well is not able to provide enough, it's not able
They
to yield
dilute
enough
that.
water.
They
Yeah.
dilute that. So it was 10 parts per trillion or better?
So the New York State MCL is if you're over 10 parts per trillion, you get a violation. So in order to eliminate that, and obviously for public safety, they elected to take it's the 2 wells up here, or this well and that well, that were in exceedance, so they are no longer being used. But
Okay.
well number 1, which is right by the existing building, I don't remember the levels off the top of my head, and they fluctuate often. So levels have been rising, so this is sort of a priority for this client. Otherwise, they'll have to be dependent on tanker trucks of water to provide water to the community. So.
Keep
Thank
jerking
you.
in business.
Thank you. No further questions, John.
All right, any input or questions from the public on this application? Ma'am? You can come on up, I'll swear you in, and let her come to the podium, please. All right, come up to the microphone, please.
I'm just curious.
No.
All right, you gotta address us,
Hello,
Talk to us.
So state your name and address for the record.
Diane Bebo, 5 White Pine Court, Carmel.
Okay, and raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you
Yes, I
God,
do.
and address us.
Yes.
Just speak into the mic if you can. There's actually one on the podium.
Is that okay?
There might be a loose one on the podium you could speak into, if that'll help. There you go.
Hello?
Perfect.
All right. I am just concerned about my own well, because I live just above where this is taking place. And I don't understand what you were saying about 1,000, whatever it was.
That's the
that
science.
is
Basically, the
causing-
long and short of it is
is
it's
causing
not
these
meeting
wells not to work.
state requirements of water quality, so they have to upgrade the pump. They're mandated by the state to do it. But in order to do it, they have to come through us and make sure everything's done right from the planning board. She needs variances, or they need variances for us to
Right.
approve for the
How-
planning board.
How do they know, or how did you know in the beginning that the wells weren't
We didn't.
good?
Oh, sorry.
Yes, the client and any water provider does monthly, daily testing and stuff like that. So as a municipality, or they're not a municipality, I'm sorry, but as a municipality or private client, they do routine sampling and.
Jessica, just grab the other microphone. You know what?
Sorry.
If that's really your only question, really what's pertaining to this board is the variances required. If you have
Well-
some questions, I'm hopeful that Jessica can speak to you about it
Yeah, we
outside.
can-
because
Yeah,
it's
no,
re-
I did have another question kind of relating to this is, because she started to explain the system, but you said you already knew it. I don't know whether the variance and the new facility is going to produce more noise or something that is different from what's going on now.
These are all comments that should be discussed at the planning board,
was just about
but
to say
there
that.
is 0.
There's no noise as a result of these.
It's a
filter
Brita
tests.
filter, basically.
A glorified,
Water rushing through.
Because I don't know what it pertained, I don't know
It's
what
not-
happens with
It is, just like Mr. Carnaz said, it's like a giant Brita filter. It's filled with 5,000 pounds of carbon each vessel, but it is enclosed in a building, so you shouldn't hear any noise at all.
Okay, that was my big question.
okay?
Thank you very much.
Could you put your name down on the sheet?
Yes,
too,
please. And address. Does anybody else wish to be heard on this application? Sir?
Come on up.
Hey, watch that
Don't get
step.
hurt, don't hurt yourself. I don't have any cards.
State your name and address for the record.
My name is Anthony Lombardi.
Speak into the microphone, please.
My name is Anthony Lombardi. I'm at 21 General MacArthur Drive, property right next door to,
All right, switch hands with the mic and raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Go ahead.
My question is just pretty general. The size of the structure itself.
Just speak into the microphone.
The size of the structure itself, I was just trying to confirm what it was going to be.
I do have photos here. Hold on, let me. So to the top of the roof line over here will be roughly 16 feet. If you're familiar with the existing building that's on site, this is going to look identical. I know this is.
I can see it from my backyard.
Yeah, I know. This is a little grayer than the actual block, but, you know, with fading and stuff like that, it does change colors. So we're proposing to make this match the existing building that's on
So
site.
16 by,
Oh, the,
I just want
well,
to know what the dimension of the house to be.
it's 300 square feet. I don't remember the exact
Okay.
length and width of it, but it's 300
about the
square
height?
feet, and it's 16 feet tall.
16 feet tall?
That's
To the top of
ridge?
the roof, yeah.
Is
the
that
roof
similar to
ridge.
the current one?
I think the current one is a little bit smaller. I think that one maybe is, I don't remember. That was so long ago. Maybe like 12 feet to
Okay.
the roof ridge, or 13.
Okay, and you said you're not taking down the old one? I was
No,
just
we're not
wondering-
taking
Wondering
down-
why?
Because that is housing the chemical and electrical treatment. This is just granulated activated carbon. So this is a completely different treatment system.
Okay,
If I'm reading this right, it's 20 by 14.7,
okay.
the building.
And it's probably, it has to get larger because of the amount of
Yeah,
filters.
I just
and-
wanted to know what the size was.
Yeah.
I didn't see
Yeah.
the plans, so.
It looks like it's 20.
It's really for your benefit. to
Oh, yeah, no,
help
I'm
your
all
water.
for the
And
water
these-
treatment.
These are actually quite small vessels compared to what they can be. The building size could be like 40 feet tall, so these are very small vessels. You guys
Okay.
have a very small
So
gallons per
I
day
saw
requirement.
the picture from back there about the landscaping, and I was just concerned, you know, is it exactly, you know, the number of trees that you guys are saying, or is it up to you guys to decide?
No, that's been, Mike, if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, that's a planning board function.
Okay.
If the zoning board felt they weren't satisfied, they could ask them to do more. But that is, there will be a public hearing there, and if you are not satisfied, you can ask for more.
The reason I'm just concerned, over the past 6 months, the landscaping on the whole property has been declining. And,
Everywhere, because we had no rain this year. That was-
no,
Yeah.
not dead. This
Oh.
is, I mean, if you drive past it now, there's old, big trees down on the whole front. The utilities came along, and they took away everyone else's, but they didn't take this away, so no one stood on top of it. It looks terrible. I asked for a huge tree, about 10 feet off my property line to be taken down in the spring. Nothing. I get, you know.
Which
there-
side are you on, Mr. Lombardi?
I'm on 21 General. I'm on the opposite side of,
The left side of the property.
The left side of the property?
yeah.
It's funny that that tree's on the plan.
Who cut the trees?
Oh, the utility cut the trees, but I'm talking about the dead tree by my property. I'm just concerned that, you know,
I think that's the one,
if
that's
they're
his
going to
property.
maintain it the same way, it's just
You mean
poor for-
NYSEG?
it's poor for the neighborhood.
You mean NYSEG came and cut them?
Yeah, they had a company, yeah. But there was also trees dead there, too. So I'm just concerned, like I said, you know, if it's going to be maintained the same way it's currently being maintained. I think the other neighbors are saying the same thing that are living there. It's like, it's just, you know, poor.
All right, I think it's best that you guys go to the planning board when it goes back. It should be advertised, and, you know, they can address those concerns. We're really just here for the variances.
The
Gotcha.
square
So,
footage.
and we
Okay.
do appreciate your input. I just, you know, I'm sure you have other neighbors here as they moved. Just letting you all know that you can voice any other concerns when it comes to the characteristics and nature and quality. You can address those questions and concerns with the planning board.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we're
You're
here
welcome.
strictly looking at the numbers.
Just write your name and address on that sign-in sheet, please. It's for the secretary. Anybody else wish to be heard? Anything new or other information or input? Going once, going twice. All right, do you have anything else to add, Jess? Okay.
No.
I'll look for a motion to close the public
Motion to
hearing.
close?
Do I have a second by Phil? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all. All right, application number 6 of Anthony Belancia for variance of section 156-15, seeking a variance for permission to retain an already existing shed. The property is located at 347 Union Valley Road, Mahopac, New York, tax map 87.6-1-81. Code requires 15 feet. What's provided is 6.5 feet. A variance required of 8.5 feet. Good evening.
Good evening. All right.
State your name and address for the record.
Anthony Belancia, 347 Union Valley Road, Mahopac, New York, 10541.
Raise your right hand and swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
All right, bring us through your situation.
I purchased this home in January of this year. The shed was built by the previous owner, and he did it himself, and he did not have a permit for it. It's probably been there for decades. They own that house
Never got
for...
picked up on title search?
The title did not pick it up. One of the realtors did pick it up, so we requested that the sellers apply for the variance, which they did. I spoke with Dawn in the office, and she confirmed they did apply for a variance. We wound up getting the clear to close, so me being a little ignorant of the process, I assumed everything was okay and no news was good news. And then I received my violation last month.
Okay. Obviously, there's no property you can buy to bring it
No.
into conformance. You're
No.
landlocked there. What would be the cost to do that if you had to relocate it?
I haven't looked into it precisely. I know it's much more than I can afford.
Yeah.
There's
It looks like actually a garage.
Yes, it's a pretty large set. It's nicely done. There's electric inside. I have to redo the electric.
I
There's
see the
also
generators behind there.
the generator and the propane, so everything, it would be quite an expense.
There's good screening. I was out there just earlier. It's the only time I could fit it in. On the right-hand side, you got a bunch of evergreens, and so it's pretty screened from the neighbor next door, if anyone hadn't gotten a chance to get out there, in my opinion. So, your septic's back there too, right,
The
probably?
septic, if I did move it in by 10 feet, I would be coming pretty close to the tank, coming into the property by 10 feet. If I went further in and down by another 10 feet, I'd probably be on top of the fields.
Okay.
And I spoke with both of my neighbors, and they don't have an issue with it. They're fine with it.
Julie, any questions?
No questions.
Sil?
No question.
Phil?
No questions, thank you.
Rose?
No questions?
No, really? Come on.
It's very well screened.
You're very disappointed. Johnny?
No questions.
All right, any input from the public on this application? I don't think so.
Motion to close.
I'll look for a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very
Good
much.
luck.
All right, Pfeiffer's.
At least I don't murder the Italian last names any worse
You
than
sort
my
of did,
my
Belancia, but I knew his grandfather, so I knew how to pronounce his name. So,
I was going to say,
right?
not that
Your
bad.
grandfather was Jack, right? Yes, there you go. Tell him back.
All right, application number 7 for James and Regina Pfeiffer for variation of section 156-15, seeking a variance for permission to build a shed. The property is located at 125 Drewville Road, Carmel, New York, tax map 65.12-1-26. What the code allows is 15 feet. What's there is 10 feet, or what's going to be there is 10 feet. So you're looking for a variance of 5 feet. All right, bring us through your situation. Oh, let me swear you in.
James Pfeiffer, 125 Juva Road, Carmel, New York, 10512.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Okay. Bring us through your situation.
I'm looking to put asking permission before I build the shed.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we like that one.
Figure I'd do it the right way. Looking to put a 10 by 18 shed. It's going to be up against one of my neighbor's property lines, not the other neighbor.
Is that the Valleys?
That's the Baileys, yes. The other neighbor was the one who suggested to put it in the spot, but I wasn't able to get a letter from him because he's out of town. He was the one who said, put it right there, it'd be perfect. But the Baileys, it's actually going to be up against their property line.
I was actually up there the other night. It looks like the most logical, reasonable spot to put it.
You saw the stakes. I actually put
Yes.
stakes. That's where I was proposing to put it.
You're well screened on that side. How far, I didn't notice where their house was, but how far off the property line was their house? Approximately.
I'd say 30, 40 feet away.
So it's pretty,
Because they're on the opposite end of the properties, where our properties come up against each other.
and where's your septic tank?
The septic is on the opposite side.
It is on the opposite side. Okay. I mean, it's not like 2 feet, it's, at least you're splitting the difference, you're 5 feet off the property line when you're allowed 10, so I'm not so upset about that, so, board members. John?
Looks like a good project there. Is that going to be a prefab?
Yes.
And you're going to put it on a slab, or you're just going to lay it on,
I'm going to put 6 inches of gravel down,
you're going to put electric to it?
no electric.
You have no questions, Charlie, thank you.
No questions, thanks for coming before.
You're welcome.
No questions, thank you.
No questions.
No question.
Anybody in the public have any input on this application? Positive or negative?
Against them, I'm just curious, Regina.
All right, we'll take care of you, we'll take care of you. All right.
Motion
look for
to
a
close.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Thank you.
anybody need to take a break?
No.
No.
All right, we'll go right through
The
it.
judge hit his home run already? Come on.
Did he hit?
No. No.
All right, application number 1, I'll look for a motion. Oh, there's no further input from the public at this point, okay? It's got to stay at it.
No, second one is.
All right, sorry. Do we have a motion?
Motion to grant.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
The legal presentation with the backing materials showed all of the use variance requirements of the 4 and capable of earning a reasonable degree, a reasonable return if used for any other allowable uses. They showed money. They showed the financials. Number 2, properties affected by a unique or at least highly uncommon circumstance. I believe that fits as well. Number 3, will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. Absolutely, it does not, and it's not self-created. I would agree with that. So I feel they met all 4, and it should be granted.
I feel the same way. That's why I seconded the motion.
Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
I echo those
any-
comments.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. It's granted.
2 is a
Like that.
holdover.
2 is held
Yeah,
over.
number 2 is held over. Number 3, McHenry, I'll look for a motion.
Motion to grant.
Do I have a second?
Second.
No, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, granted. Number 4, Perna, look for a motion.
Motion to grant?
Second.
Second by Rose, any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application number 5, Liberty Utilities, look for a motion.
Motion to grant?
Second. by
Second.
Julie, any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, granted. Application number 6, Balencia,
Thank you.
Motion to grant.
do I have a
Second.
second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And finally, Pfeiffer, I'm looking for a motion.
Motion to grant.
Do I have a second?
Second.
By Rose, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Granted. All right, minutes from July 28th. I think, Rose, you had found some issues and Dawn had revised them.
Yes.
So look for motion to approve.
Motion to accept
As amended?
As amended.
as amended.
And, okay, I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
And meeting minutes from August 25th.
Motion to grant, accept.
Accept. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Phil. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion
Okay.
to adjourn.
Let's go, Judge.
Second.
All right,
Welcome to
motion
fall,
to
everyone.
adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn and granted.
Do I have a second? All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great autumn season.
They've
See
walked
you
them
in
twice so
October.
far.